Oh, we're back. We're back. Calix Boxing 2.0, Calix Boxing 2 over on Twitter, calixboxing.com. Had a good weekend, very good weekend, productive weekend, and back on my YouTube ways after a couple days. And we had a good fight between Dogbe and Gonzalez. That was a good fight over the weekend. And a separate video on that, and I'll touch on that a bit as the show goes on as well, but a separate video on the breakdown of that fight where I see both fighters going from here. What a great fight that was. But today we're going to spend our time talking about WBC and their corruption and their nonsense with their rankings this month. We're going to be talking about Bob Arum. Oh, poor Bob. Poor Bob is struggling to make Kambosos versus Haney too. Poor Bob. Poor Bob made some empty promises. Poor Bob. We're supposed to feel sorry for Bob Arum. Oh my God, Bob Arum's struggling to make a fight. And I'll tell you how we should deal with that as boxing fans. Because our answer to everything as boxing fans should be, who cares, make the fight. That should be our answer to everything they bring to us politically. If you see a promoter coming out there saying, I just can't make this fight, I'm struggling to make this fight, your answer should be, your default position on all of this should be, who cares, make the fight. And I'll tell you why later in the show, but we're supposed to feel sorry for Bob Arum. And this is an equal opportunity bashing channel because we're going to go after Bob, we're going to go after Al, we're going to go after Keith Thurman, we're going to go after Tank, we're going to go after Ryan, we're going to go after all of them on this show today. Equal opportunity bashing channel. So that's what we're going to get into. And some other things, man. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, they don't care about the belts, right? Devin and Ryan, they don't care about the belts. Ryan doesn't care about the belts. I mean, not Devin. Tank doesn't care about the belts. Ryan doesn't care about the belts. We're out here calling Tank Davis a 3-division champion, but Tank doesn't care about the belts. Right. We're going to get into that as well. Y'all make sure if you do one thing, hit that like button as you come in. That's the one thing you can do to help this channel. And leave a bunch of comments, man. Leave comments. Manny and Vivo Morero, my guy, Wepa, Navarrete, Figueroa, Lara, Ray Vargas, Leo, 126 is stacked. And look, that was a hell of a fight over the weekend. Those are the types of fights I enjoy, right? The matchmaking was perfect. It was just a good card altogether. And I've been critical about ESPN and how their cards, top ranked cards, just lag, and we don't get to the fight. This card was over 10:20 Central Time. They did a great job of streamlining this card. A 41-year-old guy like myself, I don't want to be going to sleep past midnight. I like being in the fetal position at 9 p.m. Central on my couch. So the fact that ESPN got this over with 10:15, 10:20, and I was walking myself to bed at 10:30 p.m., beautiful. Top Rank did God's work on Saturday night. So, a lot of good things came from that card, and Dogbe did his thing, man. He did his thing. And Gonzalez, I just feel like, and once again, there'll be a separate video on this. I just feel like Gonzalez left that fight on the table. Came out too slow against a guy with high output. Chicano Profit in the building. El Chile. Tim 02. Salute Calix Boxing. Maxi 02. Yep. Good morning, Calix Sports Genius in the building. Nando listening from work. JC in the building. Nando listening from work. Shout out Nando. That's my guy. Chicano, Calix, the chat, salute. Ryan cared when Kambosos had the belts, but lost his bottle when Haney got him. Look, we got a lot that we could call out with these guys. And we'll get into that as the show goes on. But Ryan, I like that Ryan's calling out Tank. I like it. I like how he's been going about that. I like that it looks like his career is getting back on track, but there are some things I don't like as well, and I'll be talking about. Did you guys read that Julio Cesar Chavez said he didn't watch the Ryan fight because he doesn't want to watch bullshit, yet he attends Omar and Junior's fights? That's his son's. I guess he's got to do that. Now, I don't know if y'all saw this. I'm a screen share here, and I don't know if y'all can see this. It's kind of small, but the WBC over the weekend elevated Keith Thurman. Keith one-time Thurman. They call him one time because he fights one time every 3 years, apparently. But Keith Thurman is now number one in the WBC. Number one challenger to Errol Spence Jr. Now, what I'm gonna put this question, I'm gonna pose this question out to the chat. When you see that, what's the first thing that you think of? Why they would do this? What's the first thing that you would think of? Put your answers in the chat as I speak, and I'll circle back to that. But Keith Thurman, the last time Keith Thurman had a meaningful win at welterweight, Bad and Bougie was the number one song in the country. Remember that song, Bad and Bougie, Bad and Bougie? You might not remember it because it was so long ago. We're talking over 5 years ago since this guy had a meaningful win at welterweight. He takes a 3-year break after losing to Manny Pacquiao, fights Matteo Barrios. Matteo Barrios is coming off of a loss to a lightweight. He gets knocked out by a lightweight. Keith Thurman fights him in a pay-per-view after taking a 3-year layoff and can't stop him. It goes to a decision after a lightweight just stopped Matteo Barrios. So Keith is out here fighting junior welterweights at welterweight. Hasn't fought a true welterweight in 3 years. This is his first fight in 3 years. Hasn't had a meaningful win at welterweight in 5+ years. I must be living in some bizarro world to where I look at boxing websites and I look at their rankings, and Keith Thurman is top 5 in the rankings, behind Errol, behind Crawford, behind Ugas, behind Boots. They put Virgil. They put Keith. They even put Keith above Virgil. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this possible? How did I wake up in this world to where Keith is somewhere between 5 and 7 in the welterweight rankings, and he can somehow stumble upon number 1 in the WBC rankings? Imagine Keith's shock as he's playing flute under a tree, doing Tantra yoga, and he gets a call saying, hey, you're number 1 in the WBC. Keith is like, what? I'm number 1 welterweight in the WBC. I don't even fight welterweights right now. I haven't fought a welterweight in 3 years. How'd that happen? And I'll tell you how it happened. I posed the question, and let me see, WBC in the pockets of the PBC. There you go. There you go. He's once upon a time, right? Spence versus Thurman. See, y'all are on it. Y'all are on it. And this proves I like putting out these questions, posing these questions to the chat, because I want to see how intelligent the chat is, and it proves that I have an intelligent chat. We can talk about the numbers, right? The live numbers. You know, a podcast like this for me does about 400 views. Some might get 4,000. But what I love about my chat, what I love about the comment section in the archives, is I can tell I have an intelligent audience. And this proves it once again, because the first thing I thought of when I saw Keith one-time Thurman, because he fights one time every 3 years. The last time he beat him a meaningful welterweight, as I said earlier, Bad and Bougie was the number 1 song in the country. Donald Trump just started his presidency. That's how long ago this was. And he's number 1 in the WBC. Now, if you look at the previous rankings, he was behind Virgil. He was behind Evanescence. Okay, so Virgil and Evanescence were supposed to fight each other. The fight wasn't made. I think that's due to Evanescence. But here's the thing. Like, even if you say these guys aren't doing much, Virgil's still fighting within the 1-year window. His last fight was August 2021, and he's going to fight again before 12 months are up. So he's still considered an active fighter, and he's still doing enough to be doing more than Keith Thurman. And you can say, because he's actually fighting real welterweights. And then you can say the same about Evanescence. Evanescence just fought in February. What has Keith Thurman done in the welterweight division the past 5 years? We talk about fighters building up equity, right? And certain fighters build up equity to where even if they're fighting once a year against not so great opposition, they've still built up equity in their career to where they can still be ranked high. We can still give them some forgiveness because they built up so much equity. Chocolatito is a guy we could throw out. Gallo Estrada, another guy. But Keith Thurman is no longer that because Keith Thurman hasn't been doing anything in the division the past 3 to 5 years. He hasn't built up that much equity. For the life of me, man, I can't think of a more overvalued fighter in the sport right now than Keith Thurman. The fact that, I mean, I see websites that I like otherwise that have Keith Thurman 5, 6, 7 in the welterweight division, a stacked, loaded division of young talent coming up. And you could say, yes, these guys don't have the resume that Keith Thurman does overall. Yes, I get it. But the problem is, it's the sanctioning body's job to create opportunities for fighters coming up that don't have the opportunities through the ranking system, due to the mandatory system. So if Boots Ennis can't get the shots because Boots Ennis is avoided, you elevate Boots Ennis to where he gets the shots. You elevate Virgil to where he gets the opportunities because these guys are avoided. And this is what we talk about, the corrupt ranking system. The corruption is so widespread in boxing that you don't know what to focus on. You start to focus on judges. Oh, wait, we got to focus on drug testing. You start focusing on drug testing. Oh, wait, we got to worry about the pay-for-play ranking system and the sanctioning bodies. You worry about that. You got to worry about the promoters. Then you got to worry about the managers. There's so much you got to worry about that you don't know where to focus, and they flood the zone with corruption to where you don't know where to start. You don't know where to start. And when I see Keith get elevated to number 1 after fighting a junior welterweight and not stopping him, after a lightweight stopped the same guy, and I see him get elevated to number 1, the first thought that I had, much like my chat just had, because my chat is intelligent, is Al Heyman made a call. Al said, hey, WBC, I don't know, Crawford Spence, we're trying to negotiate it. I'm not sure. We're trying to get it done. We're trying to get it to the finish line. You know, we're 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line. I'm not sure. We'll see. Can you elevate Keith to number 1 in the WBC to where if this fight falls through, then we can make Errol versus Keith number 1 at the WBC versus top challenger? To me, that's what that screams of. It is frustrating because Keith belongs nowhere near the top contender at the WBC. Nowhere near it, man. It's the sanctioning body's job to clean up these divisions. And the frustrating thing with the WBC, we highlighted WBA last week, is too many belts, too much confusion, and too much corruption. To where they're doing the opposite of their job. Clean up the division. If Errol and Terrence can't get made, elevate one of these young lions. Tell Keith to do his job. Keith's job at welterweight right now, there's a market for a welterweight with the name who has built up equity but is on the way out, who is on the decline, the back 9. Danny Garcia moved up to 154, so he's not that guy. Adrian Broner has no interest in fighting anybody. Sean Porter just retired. Ugas is licking his chops from Spence's loss. So it opens up a market for Keith Thurman to get fights with young lions and be the A side and get a lot of money to fight these young lions and serve as a glorified gatekeeper in the division. But he refuses to do that. And the PBC refuses to give us that. I'd love to see Keith versus Virgil. I'd love to see Keith versus Boots. I'd love to see Keith versus Stanionis. I'd love to see Keith versus Cody Crowley. I'd love to see Keith versus Conor Benn. Any of those fights. Let these guys clout chase. Let the natural process happen at welterweight to where the young lions try to pick off an older lion that has built up equity, built up a name for himself. And as the glorified gatekeeper, you'll get paid for it. You'll be the A side against the more talented B side, who will be the betting favorite. But nobody will do that at 147. And that's the frustrating process, is who are these young lions going to fight? And if nobody steps up to be that glorified gatekeeper, it's the sanctioning body's job to elevate these young lions in order to where they can get into the mandatory process and get these shots of fights that aren't developing because the promoters and managers are standing in the way. But that's not happening. It's not happening because we have too much corruption in the sport. Crawford versus Spence probably ain't happening. I don't know. I'm optimistic, but I may be naive. Not maybe. I am naive. WBC still has Wilder rated #1, of course. PBC are blatantly in bed with the WBC. They got Ruiz versus Wilder ordered too. Shout out Bruce Gas in the building. Probably be linking up with him tonight. Barrios a PBC jabroni. Nando's words. And shout out to my guy Nando. Speaking of, appreciate the super chat, man. I always appreciate you supporting the channel. Definitely, man. Definitely. If you can attract casuals on your own, I agree. You don't need belts. I don't like it, though. I haven't been familiar with modern hits for a long time now. Bad and bougie. Bad and bougie. Bad and bougie. He was probably going to do Kambosos. WBC does what they want with no repercussions. It had been that way for a long time now. Uncle Al and Suleiman moving chess pieces to legitimately avoid Bud. Yeah, it's that too. So shout out my guy Nando in the building, of course, as always. There's also this. There's also Bob Arum out there. Bob Arum's out there speaking about how difficult it is to make Devin Haney versus George Kambosos too. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. Hold on one second. Let me close my door. My kids are walking in. Got to do that because I have 3 kids running in here. But look, Bob's out there. Oh my God, I can't make Devin versus George. The market's just not made favorable for that fight. And you know what my reaction to that every time? Anytime I come on, anytime I go on Twitter, YouTube, and I see an interview of a promoter or manager talking about how difficult it is for them to make a fight, why we can't get a fight, my response always is, so what? I don't care, make the fight. That's always my go-to. And the reason it is because, look, Bob's out there complaining about he can't make Devin versus Kambosos, right? Or he's struggling to. He's like, we didn't get it to the finish line, but look, we're struggling so much because the pay-per-view, the pay-per-view market's just not there where it was when we had Pacquiao and we had Floyd. And it's just, we can't make the pay-per-view numbers that we made. It's just difficult. And we got to price it at $25 in Australia. And before we had the first fight, we had 50,000. Now we can only do it in a 20,000 stadium arena. I don't care. The inner workings of Bob Arum's enterprise don't concern me. It's of no concern to me. What's of concern to me is what you put on my TV on Friday and Saturday nights. You know what my job as a consumer is to walk my tall, happy ass to the TV on Saturday night and turn on Dog Bay versus Yoel Gonzalez. I did my job. I did my job Saturday night. I supported Top Rank. I supported ESPN Plus. And by the way, ESPN Plus subscription is about to go up from $70 to $100, I believe. So it's going up, what, like 60%? My math is correct. My DAZN subscription just went up, but I'm still subscribing. I'm doing my job as the consumer. That's my lone job. My job as a consumer is not to focus, not to worry about the inner workings of Bob's enterprise. It's not to focus on the inner workings of Al's enterprise. You ever seen the Bronx Tale, like when Colangelo is going to the diner and Sonny's telling him, why do you care about Mickey Mantle? Mickey Mantle doesn't care about you. If your dad can't put food on the table, go ask Mickey Mantle if he cares. He doesn't care. Bob doesn't care about the inner workings of my business. He doesn't care about what's going on in my household. I don't care about what's going on in his business. So when Bob tells me he can't make a fight that he promised, I tell him, go back and make the fight as a consumer. You told Devin Haney that if he beats Kambosos, he'll go back to Australia, fight Kambosos. You promised George Kambosos an immediate rematch if he lost to Devin Haney. It's not my fault that George Kambosos stunk up the joint in the first fight to where he can't sell out the big soccer stadium anymore. He's selling out the 20,000 arena, 20,000 person arena in Australia. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that you made these promises to George Kambosos. It's not my fault that you made these promises to Devin Haney. Not my fault. Go make the fight. And the reason that I don't care is Bob wants you focusing on the one fight that he can't make money on. He has you focusing on the one fight that he's going to be on the red on. What he doesn't have you looking at is that he made money on this fight, this fight, this fight, this fight, this fight. Bob can make money on 19 fights, come out in the green, and then the 20th fight, he's going to be in the red, and he's going to start crying. Oh my God, I can't. I just, the pay-per-view market, it's just not marketable right now, and we just can't do it, and we can't make the numbers work. I don't care. Make the fight. You promised Kambosos an immediate rematch. You promised it in Australia. Go make the fight. You made that bed, go lay in it. And not only that, you raped the pay-per-view market before this. Look at how much money you made off of Pacquiao. Fight after fight after fight after fight. In-house fight after in-house fight after in-house fight. The market wasn't demanding a Timothy Bradley trilogy, but guess what? It was a top-ranked trilogy. You were raking in the dollars. So while Floyd was saying, I'm not going over there to work with Top Rank, Bob was saying, yeah, you're right, Floyd. You can't come over here and work with Top Rank. I'm with you. So he was making money, Top Rank pay-per-view after Top Rank pay-per-view after Top Rank pay-per-view, just raking in the cash. And now the pay-per-view market has dried up, a lot due to the fact that these promoters were oversaturating the pay-per-view market. And now Bob's going to come back crying. I can't make money on this fight. I can't make money on this fight. Bob, you made money on this fight, this fight, this fight, this fight. So 2022, you're in the green. 2021, you're in the green. Look, Bob's been around 60, 70 years, however long it's been. I've been hearing for years that Al Heyman's not making any money. PBC's not making any money. They have to be making money because they're still around. Nobody sticks around in a market where they're losing money consistently. These guys are making money. So if they come crying because they can't make a certain fight, my reaction is always, so what? I don't care. Make the fight. I'd much rather see Devin Haney versus Lomachenko, but guess what? It's Bob Arum who promised Kambosos an immediate rematch. So get the immediate rematch over. That way we can get to Haney versus Lomachenko quicker. Get the job done. I don't care. I don't care about the inner workings of Bob's business. Doesn't concern me. Chicano Providuta, Spencer Bud with a fight to beat Thurman. Thurman would be the best win on either guy's resume. 2017 Thurman. But this is what I'm saying. Like, it's a fair point that Keith Thurman would be the best win on their resume. Possibly. Although I wouldn't agree with this. If you're talking about Spencer Bud, no. 2022, Keith Thurman is not the best win on their resume. But if you're talking about Boots Ennis or Virgil Ortiz, yes. But that's my point. Like, Keith has to serve his purpose at the welterweight division to be a glorified gatekeeper. Let these guys clout chase off of you. Nobody is concerned. Nobody is interested in Spence or Bud versus Keith Thurman. You know what we're interested in? We're interested in Spence versus Bud. Spence versus Bud is what we're interested in. Make that fight. And I don't want to hear anything about, oh, we just can't make the economics work. No. This is the best pure fight in boxing. I don't care how you get it done. Get it done. I'm tired of hearing about the invisible obstacles in the way and that this fight isn't realistic. No. Make it happen. And if you can't make it happen, that's Al Heyman's fault. That's the PBC's fault, because guess what? Bud Crawford is a free agent. It's on Al Heyman. It's on the PBC to make this fight. Make the damn fight. I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Make the fight. I'm not interested in Errol versus anybody else. I'm not interested in Bud versus anybody else. These are two best fighters in the division. They have been for years. This fight is 3 to 4 years overdue. And the excuse for those 3 or 4 years was this guy was on this side of the street. This guy was on that side of the street. Well, guess what? They're both on the same side of the street now. Make the damn fight. Make the fight. Spence fights Bud. Bud fights Spence. And I don't want to hear anything about Spence versus Keith Thurman. Not interested. You know what I'm interested in? Keith Thurman fighting a Boots Ennis, Keith Thurman fighting a Virgil Ortiz, Keith Thurman fighting a Conor Benn. Make those fights. Make those fights. But this has been a dumpster juice division for far too long, is because Spence and Crawford haven't been fighting each other. So there's been gridlock at the top. There have been guys avoiding each other at 147. Conor Benn's talking about it fighting at a 156-pound catch weight. I'm being told that Boots can't fight Virgil. Boots can't fight Ben. Crowley can't fight Ben. I'm told that these young lions can't fight each other. I'm told to be realistic. I'm tired of hearing about it. Make the fights. Make the fights. WBA just as bad. Oops, there we go. WBA just as bad. They had Rawley number 1 at 135. Thurman needs to F off, no offense. Keith Thurman he's got to, I'm tired of hearing about this, man. He's got to serve his purpose at 147, and he has a sole purpose at 147 right now. The market is demanding that he be the glorified gatekeeper. That's it. That's it. I don't want to hear anything about a Tank Davis catchweight fight. I don't want to hear anything about him fighting Spence if the Spence-Crawford fight falls through. Don't care about it. Make the fights that make sense at welterweight, and they're not doing that. Keith Thurman has become co-creator with this world around him. His elevated status was inevitable. They're treating most boxing fans like they totally clueless fanboys. Oh, wait, they are. I've always been a supporter of Thurman, but this is unaccredited. How the F do you get crashed by older Manny, lose your strap after 2-year hiatus, then take another 2 years off to be a number 1 contender? GTFOH. And I'm with you. GTFOH. When I hear Keith Thurman number 1 WBC, GTFOH. GTFOH. I have some thoughts on Tank and Ryan, if you want to hear them. Because I keep hearing that the belts don't matter from Tank and Ryan fans. And I heard it from Ryan. And I've heard Tank say something similar in the past. But I more so want to address the Tank and Ryan fans out there. And look, this is no disrespect to what Ryan has been doing the past week as a whole, because I like the fact that Ryan is at least calling from the mountaintops. It looks like he wants a Tank fight. He's trying to call it out. I give him credit for that. I give him credit for stopping Fortuna in the last fight. But when he says something like, I don't care about the belts, and then I start to hear people echo this on the YTBC, on boxing Twitter, the belts don't matter, the belts don't matter. The belts don't matter when it's convenient for you that the belts don't matter. And I'll give an example. They promote Tank Davis as the 3-division champion. Why did they do that? They're telegraphing to you that the belts matter. It's become like a sort of a thing now that I hear from people when they talk about the Hall of Fame. Now, one of the criteria to get in the Hall of Fame, if you're a 4-division champ, you're in. You're in. I keep hearing it. So apparently the belts matter there as well. But I keep hearing from the Tank fans that he's a 3-division. They keep pushing this 3-division champ, 3-division champ, 3-division champ. Fair enough. We don't agree with that, but fair enough. But then they come and tell me the belts don't matter. Well, wait a second. I turn on Showtime for a Tank fight, and they're promoting him as the lightweight champ. They're promoting him as a 3-division champ. So obviously, they're saying that championships matter. But then, when it's convenient for the championships to matter, the belts don't matter. And why? Why does that change? When Devin Haney's name is brought up, all of a sudden the belts don't matter. They don't matter. When it comes to lightweight supremacy, Tank is that dude. The championships don't matter. The belts don't matter. Forget 3-division champ. Forget lightweight champ. The championships don't matter at that point because Devin's got them. If Devin moved up to 140 and those belts became vacant, and Tank moved up from WBA regular champion to WBA super champion, they would flip that script. 180 quick. Oh, the championships matter now. That's the real belt. That's the real belt. Whoever they gave that fake belt to, that's the fake belt. Tank is the champion at 135. So they tell on themselves. And Ryan's out here saying that the belts don't matter. So why do they do this? They do this because they don't want the target on their back. When you call yourself the champion, when you are the real champion, you have a target that's on your back. Ryan wants to call himself the king without wearing the crown, because heavy is the head that wears the crown. And this is why I respect what Devin Haney did. And hear me out real quick. And by the way, hit that like button as you come in. If you do one thing, hit that like button as you come in. There's a scene in The Wire when Marlowe, the older guy, the wiser guy, is trying to talk Marlowe out of being the king of Baltimore. And Marlowe, he's saying, look, the king of Baltimore, jailhouses and cemeteries are filled with guys who wore the crown. And Marlowe looks back at him. He stares directly at him and says, but they wore it is the point. Give me my crown. Devin Haney did something similar, and I know that's a more dire situation when we talk about jail and cemeteries, but Devin Haney knew what was going to come along with being the undisputed champion at lightweight. And to his credit, he said, give it to me. I'll go fight Kambosos. I'll agree to go fight him again in Australia. I know that you're going to be aggressive with me at top rank. Being that you see me as expendable, I'm still going to go over there and sign that 4-fight deal, knowing that I have to go through Kambosos twice. I likely have to go through Lomachenko, and I'll possibly have to fight Shakur Stevenson at 135. Yet he still took the deal. So when I see that dude, I say, that's a champion. That's a champion. He was willing to wear the crown. He was willing to put that target on his back. Let's contrast that to what Tank is doing. Tank has an opportunity here to make a similar move to what Devin Haney made earlier this year. He's a promotional free agent. He's been a promotional free agent before. What he's shown in the past is he's willing to get his minimums with Mayweather Promotions. He doesn't care who the B-side is, because he's already said in interviews that he doesn't knock on Leonard's door. He doesn't knock on Floyd's door to demand fighting top fighters. Tank has another opportunity here to say, you know what? I want to fight the top guys. I'm willing to wear that crown. I'm willing to go sign a 2-fight deal with Top Rank because I have more leverage than Devin Haney. I'm willing to go sign a 1 to 2-fight deal with Golden Boy to make the Ryan Garcia fight more realistic. I'm willing to do those things. Or I can stay with Mayweather Promotions and say, look, Leonard, I'm knocking on your door. Floyd, I'm knocking on your door. Al, make these fights. Make them. I'll sign with you again, but these are the fights I want. And we're going to see if Tank does those things. But I'm telling you what's going to happen. He's going to sign with Mayweather Promotion. We're going to see more of the same. And the reason we're going to see more of the same, because it's an easier life when you don't have that target on your back. When you could be false promoted as a 3-division champion, when you could be false promoted as the lightweight champion without having the responsibilities that come along with being the real champion. There are responsibilities that come along with being the champion of a division and sticking around in that division, because you're going to have other guys who want that crown. Real contenders that want that crown. I mean, this is in nature. This is wolf packs, lion packs. The alpha has to defend his territory against the other lions. I watched the National Geographic channel when they're talking about apes, gorillas in one African country, to where once that gorilla starts to get aged out, they try to pick that gorilla off. They're trying to kill him. They're going to eat his meat. Pause. But that's nature. That's nature. They're going to go after the king. And that's what happens. But when you can call yourself the champion without the responsibility of being the real champion, Tank is in a good position. Ryan's in a good position. And there's a second aspect to this. I call it the multi-division. I call this the multi-division scam that Tank is running. Tank's been running, and Ryan is running something similar right now. We get to some comments real quick before I get to that. Kambosos needs them belts. LOL. The rematch clause was so stupid. Like Bob Arum allowed that. And Bob Arum allowed that. He laid in that bed. I mean, he made that bed. He's got to lay. He's got to lay in it. Make the damn fight. Bob's the inner workings of top rank are of no concern to me. What's of concern to me is being a consumer, doing my job as a consumer, doing my job as a boxing fan, and showing up to the fights. Subscribing to these channels. That's my job. That's my job. That's my lone job. I'm not a fanager. I'm not a promoter. I'm not a manager. I'm not going to speak that way. But the multi-division scam is this. When Tank Davis started to get some heat at lightweights, when top lightweights started to call him out, what did he do? He moved up to 140 and fought Matteo Barrios for a Reggie belt. They saw an easy champion at 140 with the Reggie belt that they could take advantage of and beat. He moves up to 140. He beats Matteo Barrios. What happens then? What happened right after the Matteo Barrios fight? You go on Twitter. You come on here, wherever it may be. Regis Prograis calls him out. He has real alpha dogs, like real junior welterweights, big junior welterweights with power calling him out. And then what do? They say, no, wait. This was just a one-off. We were just, we're lightweights here. We're lightweight. We're going back down. Don't call me out. And especially when Josh Taylor called him out. Tank Davis then had an opportunity to move up to 140 or stay at 140 and fight for the undisputed championship of the world at 140. Undisputed championship of the world at 140 against Josh Taylor. Then what does Leonard Ellerbe do? He immediately comes out and says, Josh Taylor doesn't bring anything to the table. And my response to that is, and other people's response to that is, and unfortunately journalists didn't hold his feet to the fire, was Josh Taylor brings more to the table than Matteo Barrios, and you just fought him. So what Leonard is actually telling you is Josh is too high risk. It's too high risk. We're not interested in fighting tough B-sides because Josh brought plenty to the table. He's a more popular fighter than Matteo Barrios. He brings all of the belts at 140 to the table. That's valuable if you want real legacy, if you want to fight for real championships. But what happens? He moves back down to 135. And once the heat starts coming at 135, they'll talk about possibly going up to 140. Ryan Garcia is running the same sort of thing here. Ryan Garcia, his first two comeback fights, I believe the Tagu fight as well was at 140. But he's fighting 135-pounders at 140. So when top lightweights start to call him out for fights at lightweight, what's he going to do? I'm up here at 140. I'm up here at 140. They'll likely fight Jojo Diaz in the next fight at 140. Jojo Diaz, a guy who didn't have power at 130, doesn't have power at 135, and definitely won't have power at 140. So they're going to run this game where they fight 135-pounders at 140, say, whoa. I know they're ranking me at lightweight, but I'm not a lightweight. I'm at 140. That's what's going to happen when top dogs call him out at 135. But what happens is he runs the risk of staying at 140 too long. So once he fights at 140 too long, guys like Regis Prograis are going to come knocking. Guys like Josh Taylor, although Josh Taylor looks like he's going to move to 147, but let's throw Zepeda's name out there. Let's throw Ramirez's name out there. Guys like that are going to start knocking at the door, and Ryan's going to be like, wait. Yeah, I'm at 140, but I'm fighting lightweights. I'm over here at lightweight. So when the heat comes on at 140, he's going to move down to 135. And the end game to this Tank and Ryan thing is always going to be that they're on a collision course. They're on a slow collision course, very slow. It's going to take a long time to develop because what's going to happen is when Ryan Garcia is doing 11,000 at Crypto Arena, Tank Davis is selling out arenas across the country. When the B-side on his pay-per-views are cheap, and his pay-per-views are cheap to where even if he's doing 200,000 buys, they're still in the green and they're making money, they're going to keep running this game until the market gets bored with them. And until the market gets bored with them, they're going to keep doing the same thing. And once the market finally gets bored with them, they'll finally fight each other. But until then, they're going to keep running this scam to where they're chameleons. They're chameleons. It's easy to stay away from guys and avoid putting a target on your back when you don't have a real championship, one, and when you're not campaigning in a single weight class, two. And they're doing both well. They're doing both well. Tank is promoting himself as a 3-division champion without having the responsibility that comes along with being a real champion. Ryan doesn't have a real belt, so of course he's going to say belts don't matter. He's proving that he doesn't want the responsibility that comes along with the belt. I'll give you one example. One example was when he was at 135 and Teofimo had all the belts, he wasn't calling Teofimo out. Now that Teofimo goes up to 140 and has 0 belts, and he knows that that fight's still difficult to make, he's going to call out Teofimo. Now Teofimo doesn't have any belts. He doesn't want the responsibility that comes along with having those belts. And as well, it's easy to blend in with the crowd if you're moving through multiple divisions at one time. You're not campaigning in a single division. If you're campaigning at 135 for a long time, like a Lomachenko example, it's easier to target that guy. It's easier to target that guy. But when you're 135 sometimes, 140 sometimes, in Take's example, he can move down to 130 as well. When you're moving through 3 divisions, you're not campaigning in one division. It's easier to keep that target off your belt. They're chameleons. And that's the scam they're running. And yes, part of it is, yes, I want to be a 3-division champ, so I'll pick off a Reggie belt here, pick off a Reggie belt there, and I'll call myself a 3-division champ. But the other aspect of that is, and they know it, Leonard knows it, Floyd knows it, it's easier to blend in with the crowd. It's easier to stay away from putting that target on your back if you're not campaigning in a single weight class. And it's up to an intelligent fan base to call these guys out. And the issue is when you call these guys out, unfortunately, their rabid fan base is going to do the heavy lifting for them online. It happens all the time to me. I'll call out Tank, and then the Tank fans come back at me and they throw out stuff like, Tank actually has a better resume than Loma. The belts don't matter when it comes to Tank because Tank is the big name. Tank's the big fish. Well, if the belts don't matter, why is he promoting himself as a 3-division champion? Why is he going out of his way to pick off Reggie belts? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They'll always have a comeback for Tank. And it's any fighter. Take any fighter. Look, when Miguel Cotto fought Antonio Margarito in the second fight at a catchweight, me being a Miguel Cotto fan, I still said, why just fight him at the full 154? Just fight him at the full 154. Like, I could still call out Cotto because I know, look, he's still in the Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. And I knew overall his resume is still great, but you got to be able to call out your favorite fighters. I put this on Twitter, like, it's a good exercise, right? It's a good exercise to do as a fan to say something at least once a week, say something negative about your favorite fighter and say something positive about your least favorite fighter. It's a good exercise to do to keep yourself honest. And I do it every week. Say something negative about your favorite fighter, say something positive about your least favorite fighter. Just do it, and it's going to help you out in becoming more unbiased and more even boxing fan. But you have a YTBC that it's just 95% of it is just trying to convince you that the sky is green. It's trying to convince you that what you're seeing is not real. No, Tank actually is the real champion at 135. He's the real champion. I hear it all the time. You got to be able to call it straight. You have to be able to call it straight. And this has become my main mission with this channel, is just trying to get boxing fans to just speak for the betterment of the sport. The betterment of the sport should be above what your favorite fighter is doing. It's good. Look, I don't have a problem with you having favorite fighters. I don't even care why they're your favorite fighters. Same skin color. They're the same with you on social issues. It could be anything. Stylistically, all of that is fair. It's all fair. All I'm saying is when they do something wrong, call it out. Call it out. That's it. I see it all the time. Like the Deontay Wilder thing was after the second fight with Tyson Fury. It's the easy example to use. These dudes are so miserable with this. So miserable. Like the easiest thing to do would have been to come on after that fight and say Deontay Wilder lost the fight. He just lost the fight. Let's move forward. Let's try to get this trilogy, but he lost the fight. But these dudes were so miserable with that. I know how it is at their household. Like their girlfriend, their wife calls them to bed. They're like, come to bed, honey. Come to bed. Let's have some fun. I can't right now. Deontay Wilder just lost a fight. I got to do a 3-hour live about Deontay Wilder losing the fight. And she's like, what? It's like Deontay Wilder lost the fight. So they start to concoct these conspiracy theories as to how Deontay Wilder lost the fight. And I'm looking at these videos for like a year and a half. I'm like, squinting my eyes. The glove, the horsehair, what? There's egg whites in there? What? And there are all of these conspiracy theories. And all they had to do was say Deontay Wilder lost the fight. Let's move forward to the trilogy. Deontay Wilder lost this one. I thought he won the first one. He lost this one. Let's just move forward to the trilogy and figure it out. But no, it was egg weights. It was egg weights, and then they took the padding out the gloves. And then his trainer, against all odds, his trainer poisoned him. And I'm looking at these videos, and they're like, that's not real water. That's poor. You can tell the water is murky in that bottle. It's not real water. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what? And I'm mad at myself for investing my time trying to look at horsehair gloves and if the bottle is murky, if it's real water. And all they had to do, and I know it comes down to AdSense money as well. They're doing this for AdSense. But part of it is just capping for your fighters. Being delusional. All you had to say was Deontay Wilder lost the fight. Let's move forward. All you have to say is Tank Davis isn't a 3-division champion. I know he's not a 3-division champion, but I still think he's a great fighter. Fair. As long as we're all on the same page. As long as you're not telling me the sky is green. Because we know he's a 1-division champion. That is facts. That's facts. That's science. It's science. You can't go against it. He's a 1-division champion. The other 2 divisions he has a Reggie belt. These are facts. The sky is blue, not green. But these dudes, I'll say that. Their wife calls them, hey, honey, it's our anniversary. I cooked you a steak. Let's go to bed early. Have some fun. Honey, I can't. I told you. Some dude on the internet is saying Tank Davis is not a 3-division champion. I need to do a 3.5-hour live. This can't be like this. He's on there doing a 3.5-hour live on how Tank is actually a 3-division champion and not a 1-division champion. His wife is texting her girlfriend and she's like, I told him to come to bed early. And he's on YouTube again. He's going to be on there for like 8 hours. It's going to be all night. He's saying something about Tank is not a multi-division champion. I don't get it. The dude could have just went to bed. The dude could have went to bed, had a good night with his wife. Instead, he's trying to convince everybody that the sky is green. I can't go to bed right now. I know I got work early. Who can have sex at a time like this? He's saying Tank is a 1-division champion, not a 3-division champ. We can't have that. Can't have it. He's saying that Tank did 50,000 buys instead of 250,000 buys. Can't have it. I got to do an 8-hour live. And this is what these dudes do. It's what they do. And they're putting their favorite fighter and their agenda above the betterment of the sport. And to me, that's our biggest enemy right now. I know what the promoters do. I know what the managers do. I know what the network execs do. I know what those guys do. I know what they're about. That's why I told you, man, this is an equal opportunity bashing channel. Like, we bashed Al today. We bashed Bob. We bashed Keith Thurman. We bashed a lot of guys that deserved bashing. Pause once again. But I'm willing to call out Bob over at Top Rank. I'm willing to call out Al over at PBC. I called out Eddie last week because Eddie wants to make Bivol versus Bawazzi instead of Bivol versus Zerto. All of these guys deserve bashing. So why are you just bashing one outfit for the sake of another? Why are you bashing other fighters for doing the same things that you're praising your favorite fighter for doing? It's the inconsistency, and it's the inconsistency for you're trying to do it for clicks. You're trying to do it for clicks, but you're also doing it for your clique, for your tribe. And that's not what I'm about. Like, my tribe is people who just want to see the best fights. That's me. My only agenda is wanting to see the best fights on Friday and Saturday night. So for me, it's easy. Like I said, I gave the example of how I called out Miguel Cotto for fighting at a catch weight against Margarito in the second fight. Why in the hell are you fighting for a catch weight? Fight him at the full 154. If you're confident in your ability, fight him at the full 154. We called out Manny for doing similar things. We called out Canelo for doing similar things. And I like all those guys. Love Cotto, love Canelo, love Manny. But you call them out when they're not doing something that's for the betterment of the sport, right? And I just don't see why you can't do the same. I'm not understanding it. I'm not understanding why you have to do 3 to 4 hour lives on why the sky is green. That science is not science. Facts aren't facts. No, man. Tank's not a 3-division champion. He's not. And I'm going to make him mad again. Dudes are going to see this evening. Let me start typing me stuff on Twitter. I apologize to their girlfriends because I know how it goes. Honey, come to bed. Please come to bed tonight. Please, can you just come to bed early tonight? I've got to do a live. He's saying Tank Davis is a 1-division champion again. He's saying Tank only does 52,000 buys, and we can't have it. He's saying that Deontay Wilder didn't really beat Tyson Fury in the second fight. And she's like, come, please just come to bed. No. Tyson Fury had egg weights in his gloves in the second fight. And these dudes just can't be happy. They can't be happy. When you just come on here and tell the truth, you don't have to remember things. And when you don't have to remember things, it's easier to stay consistent. When you're constantly telling lies in order to fit your agenda, it's harder to remember things and you get caught in those lies. And if you watch these guys' channels, if you see them on Twitter, they're constantly double speaking. And I just gave an example of that. You're promoting him as a 3-division champion. When you do that, you're signifying that belts matter and that championships matter. But at the same time, when you say those aren't real championships, oh, belts don't matter. Which is it? Do belts matter or do belts not matter? Do they matter or not? They matter when your favorite fighter has the real belt. When your favorite fighter doesn't have the real belt, then the belts don't matter. When Devin Haney has the real belts, he's boring. Boring. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that he has them. Since he's boring, he's not a real champion. Since Tank is exciting and Tank is the draw, Tank's the real champion. Because I said so. And it's beautiful for Tank because Tank's sitting here at home like, man, I can't believe these dudes are capping for me so hard. I can't believe this. I can't believe grown men. Look, dude, if there's one thing I can stress to you in this video, I see it all the time. When your favorite fighter loses, just accept the L. Just accept it. If your favorite fighter or favorite team losing bothers you for more than 5 minutes, that's a number one signal that you need to do something is off balance with your life. And I tell people this when I give betting advice. Like, if you're gonna bet money that 5 minutes later, you're not going to be worried about losing. Like that night, you're not going to lose any sleep about losing that money. It's the same thing with your favorite boxer, your favorite team. If you're taking that L so hard that it bothers you for more than 5 minutes, man, something is off balance in your life. And I see it with these dudes on the YTBC all the time. They do not take losses well. And I give the example of Deontay Wilder against Tyson Fury in the second fight because it's the easiest example to give. If they would have just taken that L, life would have been so much easier for everybody on the YTBC. Not just all of us, but for them as well. For them especially. Just take the L. There were no egg weights in the glove. His trainer did not poison him. Just think about what I just said. You said his trainer poisoned him because you didn't want to take that L. You refused to take that L. I see it. I drive an hour and a half to go to LSU football games, and I see these dudes when LSU loses a game. Grown men upset that 18 to 22-year-olds did not perform the way they wanted them to perform. If you're taking that L, like if you're walking to the parking lot and by the time you get to the car, you're not over that loss, there is something wrong with your life. Something's off. You need something. You need Jesus. Whatever you need, man. I don't care what it is. Meditate. Do something. Find a girlfriend. But if you're taking losses that bad, something is off. Something is off. The poor, like, I see these dudes, man. They're at the game with their girlfriend or wife, and they're just so upset after the game their team lost. And I feel bad for the girlfriend walking back to the car because she's going to have an awful week because this dude's favorite team lost a football game. What is wrong with you? We follow sports. We watch sports in order to get away from the seriousness of life. We come together. We watch it. We shake hands after, no matter what tribe you're in. Yeah, you got that one. I'll get you next time. You got that one, but I'll get you next time. That's what sports is supposed to be. But these dudes, their team loses the game. Their fighter loses the game. And a whole race, group of people is against them. It's like, no. Your favorite fighter took an L. Just take the L and move on with your life. Come on, man. If that's my 1 point today, just take the L. Just don't carry the losses with you. Just take the L. Take the L. Move on. We'll get you next. Yeah, you got us, but we'll get you next time. We'll get you on the next one. I got you on the next one. That's how it should be. But these dudes for a year and a half, egg weights in the gloves. No, it's actually not egg weights in the glove. He took the padding out. No, actually, you know what? His trainer poisoned him. God only knows what else. He took the horsehair out of his glove. What? Anybody who knows anything about real gloves knew that this was all bogus. These aren't Everlast gloves that you Velcro up and hit your 50-pound heavy bag in the garage. JD's is standing right there. He's standing right there. And the reason this is bothering me now is I've never talked about this on my channel. I never talked about that whole fiasco. I went on Round Table and talked about it once or twice, but I never talked about it. I just didn't want to be a part of it at all. But these dudes for a year and a half were going on about how everybody was against Deontay Wilder. He took egg weights. He put egg weights in his glove when JD is standing right there. No. Actually, you know what happened was when JD is left, they took the gloves off and then put the egg weights in. He was punching with egg weights. Do you realize what would happen to your hands if you were punching a dude with egg weights? There are easier ways and better ways to cheat. Egg weights? His trainer poisoned him? Are you insane? All because you refuse to take an L. And this is what makes this more difficult, man. I spoke about all the corruption in boxing. We get it from the promoters. We get it from the managers. We get it from the sanctioning bodies not doing their jobs, elevating Keith Thurman to number one. Promoters, managers not giving us the fights we want. We got judges corruption. We got referee corruption. We got state athletic commission corruption. We got drug cheats. We've got all of that. And we can't hold dudes' feet to the fire. We can't hold any of these people's feet to the fire because we can't even get on the damn same page. If we all just said, you know what, you got that one. I took that L. We're going to get you on the next one. Instead of capping for these fighters at a detriment for the betterment of the sport, if we didn't do that, if we all got on the same page as boxing fans and realized who our real enemies are, it would be easier for us to get this corruption in order. But we'll never do that because they divide and conquer is what they do. And y'all fall into the trap every single time. Take your loss. Take your L, please. Your favorite fighter loses, take your L. I had to take the L with Cotto in the first Margarito fight. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. But I took the L. You can't prove anything. You can't prove anything. And like I said, the second fight, Cotto should have fought him at the full 154. I called out Cotto for that. I can cite example after example after example. Manny Pacquiao catchweights, Canelo catchweights, where I called out my favorite fighters in the sport because they weren't doing what they should be doing. They could have been doing better. But you're on here trying to do 3-hour lives, 5-hour lives, 6-hour lives, capping for super chats just because your favorite fighter lost and you can't handle that. You can't handle it. If your favorite fighter loses and after 5 minutes is still sticking with you, you got to get your life together. And that's all I got. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I will be on the round table. Is that the Aftermath with D-Style Boxing tonight on his channel. Y'all make sure to tune in to that. On that note, God bless. Peace.